Is that you running in?
Yeah.
Okay, run downstairs. Quick as you can. Okay, that's me. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, there's people. Come on. Did you just look at me?
Yeah.
I said run downstairs! Cole, did you run away after you saw me?
No. Here.
Dude, a guy with a hatchet came in here and looked straight at me. I thought it was you.
And welcome back to the Brothers Gaming Network. And you know what? I want to go there. The best gaming review for the EFT. We are for Escape from Tarkov. We are bringing it to you today here. And this is Sir Chubulus, and I'm joined by.
I PvP my kids IRL.
And we're just going to hop right into it. And as we dive into this, we're just going to take a look at how would you even describe Escape from Tarkov? What type of game is it? And what are you getting yourself into? And you just need to know going into this, you are getting into possibly one of the hardest survival hardcore multiplayer games that is currently on the market right now. It doesn't get much harder than this. And when we talk about just hardcore, what exactly do we mean? We're talking about if you die, you lose your stuff. And in some ways, that might not seem like a big deal, right? You just go back in to your inventory and you just pick out another loadout, right? Well, the other problem of this is you've got money to also handle. And we'll also go into this later when we go into loadouts. But when we go into a match, you're going to be fighting against other players for loot, and you're going to upon a successful extraction, you're going to take that to your base and you're going to go about, whether you get money from quests or you go about settling your loot, you're going to have to again manage all that going into your next loadout. It's all important and it's really all encompassing when we're talking about just the hardcore atmosphere of this game.
And to speak on why it's just such a hassle to get involved with this game, we gotta talk about kind of like the maps in general and what you're going to be greeted with whenever you even open up the game. There's going to be so many maps to pick from. You're going to be greeted by so many little blocks on your right hand side whenever you open up your inventory. You're going to be greeted by guns, ammos, clips, all these medical majiggas.
Majiggas, I like that. I like that IPVP.
Just got caught up a little bit. But on to why these seem confusing and why they are to anyone who comes into this game as a first timer. There is no tutorial. You are thrown all of this and there is no tutorial. Your best tutorial is going to YouTube and looking up Pestly. All right, let me just go ahead and say that that's gonna be your best tutorial, is looking up a YouTuber about all this stuff. And to kind of speak on what we're going to be talking about in your loadout screen, which is half of what you're going to be doing. You can die in this game in 30 seconds at the start of a map after spending 20 minutes in your loadout screen preparing all of this garbage now that's in somebody else's backpack. We're going to be talking about the guns. We're going to be talking about a little bit about armor, your healing, and some of your scabbing. Now, to dive into guns, you're going to be greeted with all of the several parts that can go into a gun. It's kind of unrealistic with how many possibilities there are that you can do. I never would have thought coming into this game that I knew anything about guns. I certainly know a lot more than I would ever care for now. Now, what's important with your gun is what ammo you're shooting. And this we could probably speak on for 2 hours. It's what half the game is based around, is what ammo you're shooting out of your gun. You can use the most ridiculous looking gun, and as long as it shoots the best ammo in the game, all you gotta do is hit someone in the head once and they're down to the ground. And that can be even some of the worst ammo in the game, I might add. And what this ammo does is, unlike other games where your gun has like a fire rate and that's kind of the most important thing, is how fast you might be shooting, if you shoot the crappiest ammo out of your gun into the highest armor, that armor is going to soak up all of it. You won't even hit the man. But if you're using the best ammo in the game, I might add, you're going to penetrate his armor maybe in the first bullet and kill him. And that's something that you haven't ever really seen before, is how much ammo goes into this.
And it just goes into the time to kill for this game. It is so low that it's just, it really takes away from just experiencing the game, because Because like IPVP said, you could go into a match and in the first 30 seconds, after just spending 20 minutes in the loadout screen gearing out your PMC, you die and there goes all your loot and somebody just picked it up. It's horrible. And like helmets in this game, we talked about armor, but the helmets, because whenever you break down per health your body, right, you have a certain amount of health, 420 I believe to be exact, and each part or limb has a certain amount of health that goes into it. And then at that point they'll either break, they'll bleed, they'll go blacked out, so you'll need to perform surgery in the middle of the raid in order to get functionality back of that limb. But when it comes to the head, there is no repairing it. Whenever you start to get zeroed out, you just die. In other areas on your body where if somebody continues to shoot at that limb, that damage is then going to do splash damage really on the rest of the body. So for instance, a very legitimate meta in this game is called leg meta, where people go in with shotguns or low recoil SMGs and will go and shoot for the legs. And what they do is they will black out the legs in the process, and that damage will then splash out and then zero the rest of your health out. And so when you think about the armor, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense when there's so much emphasis on ammo in this game. For instance, helmets, going back to helmets for real quick, there's Tarkov and Battlestate wanted to keep this game as realistic as possible while also being a fun experience. When you talk about protection being on the head in real life, there just really isn't something that's going to stop some of the best ammo that the world has to offer. For instance, a M995, for instance, in the real world costs hundreds of dollars per bullet, and it is, I believe, a tungsten
There's
core.
several 100,000 of these bullets around this
Exactly.
on the flea market if you want it.
And yeah, and so when you think about comparing that to some of the best armor that real life has to offer, there's not much that's going to stop that, if not be practical in the same sense. Because you have tier 6 armor in this game, but it offers so much limited visibility that it doesn't even make it usable in the meta as it stands right now. So when we just tie in everything that goes into the loadout, you just need to pick a gun that has a high caliber round that can shoot some of the best ammo. Okay, so for instance, if we go with the 7.62x51, we look at the M61. If you hit somebody in the head, they are dead. It does not matter if they are wearing a helmet or not. And that's what brings in this whole aspect of armor, and it just makes it useless because there's so much emphasis on the ammo that you run in your gun. And then just going into just the healing options, there are so many healing options that you have in this game. There's bleeds, there's heavy bleeds, there is healing, and then you've got bigger packs that do everything at all once. But what makes this game really interesting is just the surgery and the pain killing as well, because as you start to get shot, you're going to experience pain, whether that's when you get shot, you get tremors from getting shot in the head and you get a ricochet off your helmet, which does happen sometimes. You'll have these certain effects that come into play, and you will need to react with that with some of these specialized medicines. If you lose a limb, you need to perform surgery. If you get shot in the legs and you start to limp, which is another function in this game, you'll need the painkiller so that you can run, especially if you're running to the extract. You want to get there as fast as possible. And just touching lastly on traders. Traders in this game is hugely important. As you're leveling up, as you're questing, you're going to need to also just constantly be looking at the traders. You're going to have the flea market available, but because everything is that much more expensive on the flea market, you're going to want to go back to the traders as much as you can for your loadouts, because again, when you talk about the hardcore nature of this game, you want to keep your costs minimal, so you're going to want to go to your traders as much as possible. And as you level up, that's when you unlock more options. And also there are attachments, there's guns, there's ammo, and there's also barter trades that are unlocked behind the traders and their quest systems.
And to play this game in a normal aspect without looking at some of the top streamers of this game and being like, man, how can I run out with them? You're gonna want to look at scabbing. And how you scab, for instance, is you get every 20 minutes if you're on a normal loadout screen, for instance, because you can get it down later on. We're going to tell you how to do that. Is for every 20 minutes, so you're going to get a random loadout. And this scab is not going to be connected at all to your PMC. And we'll get into a little bit about what makes them a little different a little later. But for scabbing, though, you're going to get this random loadout. It might be nothing but a pistol, or it could be a fully loaded AK-74,
Or
for
possibly have a thermal as well. Definitely
Yes,
seen that
very
before.
rare, but you will see them occasionally. And whenever you get into the raid, you're going to want to immediately check your backpack. And this is where you're going to find possibly some of the best stuff in the game. You might find a key that you've been waiting to get for a quest for a long time. You might be able to finally enter labs and get head-eyed over there by some cheater shooting through the wall. Which, by the way, cheaters in this game, it'll be horrible. I'll roll some gameplay for y'all just to take a little look, but it is pretty bad.
Freak, dude.
No matter what Nikita says on the subject, it is still a problem. They keep saying they're winning. We have experienced numerous occasions of cheating in this game, and that derailed a little bit from scabbing. But so back onto scabbing though. Whenever you load into the map, you're gonna want to check your backpack. You might have meds, you might not, and depending on if you got maybe a quest item, maybe you got some gunpowder, maybe you got a tank shell. You need to kind of get out of the raid quickly, or you want to stay in it and try and see if you might find some PMC bodies around. You might be able to find raiders if you're on reserve, which is also a good idea of what map you're picking out to scab on. If you're scabbing, you want to go for the high loot maps or some of the low risk ones like woods. If you want to try and go for the best loot and maybe get like a graphics card or military loot, you want to look at reserve and interchange. If you want to play safer, you can go to Shoreline, go for some of the blue little random loot stashes around the map, or you can go on woods and do the same thing. You can play a little safer or play super aggro and try and go for scav on scav combat. And to go, this is kind of how you're going to want to progress the game if you're stuck at a difficult spot in your loadout, for instance, where you don't have much anymore. You burned all of your stuff, you're low on money, and you don't want to use all of this good stuff you're maybe saving up for a raid later on some of these raids where you need to try and go in and do a quest. You might want to get a scav loadout for that instead. And this will kind of bring us up into the quest system that they have. And you're going to want to get these quests to the traders. These traders are going to give you varying quests. You're going to need to, sometimes it'll be as basic as running to a truck, getting an item out of it, and running out. You're going to want to need to extract with these quest items though every time. If you go into a raid and you need to pick up an item, you're gonna have to get out of raid with that item immediately. You do not want to stay in. You don't really want to play around and go for all these PvP kills. At the early game, you want to try and get to level 10 as quick as you can. The flea market is going to be your best option for progressing with the quest, because you might need to get parts for a gun for the gunsmith quest for mechanic, or you're going to need to go and get the keys to unlock the rooms in Shoreline, for instance. All of these kind of play into some of the more easier quests. You're going to get stuck at times doing some of these really ridiculous quests, such as hitting PMCs in the head while you're fractured from Jaeger. And I was fortunate enough to have the time to play all of the quests. I did every single one of them besides killing Killa, and I think one of the ones from Peacekeeper. And I ended up going all the way through getting Kappa, and I believe I did that in about 700 to 800 raids. It was a ridiculous grind. And after looking back on it, it was probably one of the worst decisions. It wasn't that rewarding. I kind of make a joke out of it. I got 3 extra slots in my Kappa, and I spent an incredible amount of time playing this game to get that far. They were insanely difficult. It was a bit ridiculous to even do some of them. Getting 100-meter headshots from on 4 maps 3 times a piece. It's just plays into some of the most ridiculous aspects of this game. You have to play it as a full-time job at the start. If not, later on, by the time you get your Kappa, everyone else is already almost waiting for the next wipe to happen. And the quests were extremely fun in some regards, but some of them, like the 12 grenade kills, they just killed the enjoyment of the game. And some of the other things I might add is whenever you go in as a group, there is nothing to tell apart. We have killed each other on numerous occasions. We've
There's
just
nothing-
shot.
Oh my god! Wait, that's you? You're up here?
Yes.
I thought no one was in front of me! I thought you were some prepper stuff! Oh my god. Why did you say you were up here?
I did. I said I was in medical. This is military medical.
I thought-
He did say he was.
To indicate, teammate from enemy. There's just nothing there, and that's one of my biggest, problems with this. Just within playing a group, it doesn't really incentivize playing in a group.
And they get you these little tags on the side of your arm that are, a little neat. They at least made it to where you can keep it on death now, so every time you go out, you don't have to make a new tag on your arm. Whenever you're in the heat of the moment, and it's sometimes just best to just shoot on sight, especially if you've been playing solo like I was just so used to shooting everyone that was part of my thing, was just shooting on sight. I killed Tubulus more times than I can count, honestly, and he's the same to me. It's gonna happen whenever you play this game with your friends. It's part of one of the sad things about this game is that you want to play it with your friends on a Friday night, but you're probably gonna end up being more frustrated, losing a ton of gear while you're trying to level. And sure, it can be fun, but you're gonna being more time being frustrated because you didn't get a raid right, or you spent 40 minutes in raid killing raiders on reserve, lowering down for just player scavs to come in and just wipe out your whole group because you stayed in too long and you ran out of meds, you ran out of ammo. They head-eyed you from across the map with full auto AKs and you weren't expecting it.
That's right. And so
Yeah.
lastly, just to wrap everything up, we also just wanted to touch base on the crafting and also the hideout in general, because the hideout covers a lot of static bonuses, and as you level up through the game, it unlocks a lot of different other potential to earn money, to do some other things, such as the scav box, for instance, where you can just pay some random NPC to go out and collect random loot for you, which it's a very hit or miss thing, and I really wouldn't devote that much time on unlocking it. But the really big thing in the hideout right now is the Bitcoin farm. The Bitcoin farm, and this is really unique about Battlestate and implementing this in this game. The Bitcoin price varies based on the real life Bitcoin price. And so when we recently saw this high rise in Bitcoin price, it highly affected the flea market pricing. And so it's a great way to earn passive income in Tarkov, but it also takes away significantly a large portion of the risk that's involved with the game, because when you can just come in, grab your Bitcoin, sell them to therapists, and get a ton of money, and just run out and just get the best loot in the game, it just takes away a lot of the enjoyment. It just virtually eliminates the whole survival aspect of this game. And so as we just continue to look at the hideout, we also look at just the other different crafting options that we have. When we have the food options, right, where you can craft all sorts of whiskeys and crackers and all sorts of things, and then we also craft more quest items in some of the other options. I mean, you can even craft in the workbench. You can even craft ammo types, and the hideout is just really good to invest in. It is a long-term investment toward instead of a short-term investment. And when we go into looking at the different options, we have the air filtration system that will increase your strength skills, and also we have the library that will increase your practical skills, which we're about to get into.
So to speak a little bit on the skill setup, it's it's kind of intuitive system. There's going to be skills that you're going to be leveling up very easily, like vitality or endurance, for instance. And for strength and endurance, those are two of your primary ones that you're going to want to level. It's how much loot you can carry out of the map, whether or not you're carrying out so many heavy items like car batteries, fuel, lots of things like that. That's going to level up your strength skill. And there's only so much of that you can do in one raid. You can't level up your strength skill even one level in one raid. You have to progress it over 50 levels. And whenever you get to the max level, they give you elite skills. Each one is very unique. It provides usually a very ridiculous bonus that kind of defeats the purpose of some of the survival aspects of the game. At max strength, you get to even just discard the weight of your main character, and you get to carry around these massive loadouts of everyone you've killed on the map. And it is very rewarding. I will say that much. The experience is very rewarding. It takes a lot of time, and you have to be dedicated to get these skills at the highest level that you can. And that about wraps us up for the skills aspect.
And going into our final thoughts and opinions about this game, I find that this game is one of the best shooters that are out on the market right now. When you look across this survival hardcore genre, I'm looking at Rust. I'm looking at Rust and just its shooting, and it's just not as good as a shooter as Tarkov. You look at the recoil, you look at how well designed the systems are in place, and Escape from Tarkov just blows it out of the water with the experience. Now, with the game itself, I just find it so hardcore that it just puts off so many people. Nikita has even come out and said that this game is not meant for everybody. And if you buy this game, buy it at the base level, try it out, and then see if this is for you, because this may not be for you, honestly, guys. This game, and when we talk about the time investment within this game, we need to understand this is not a casual game at all. As somebody like myself that has worked through this, had a 9-to-5 job, came home, played a couple of games, not every night during the week, but I played some, and on the weekends I got some time in. I have a child as well, and I just found myself very behind. When you're behind in this game, what that means is people already are unlocking different options of armor, of ammo types, and so you would just find yourself at a complete disadvantage. You need to be treating this game like a full-time job, and you need to put the time in to really get far in this game and to be competitive whenever a wipe happens. So when we just think about all this, the guns are great with the different mods that you can do. It's phenomenal. Escape from Tarkov has raised the bar on what is possible with modding out guns and what it can be for games going forward, for first-person shooters. For the looting aspect, it's one of the best in the genre, with just the way that the trades work, with the barter systems, and just the general looting with the random static spawns. It's a really great experience. You never know what you're going to get, because every time you go into a map, it's always going to be different. You always get that feeling of excitement, and you rush as you loot bodies, and you find something that you've been wanting. It truly is a unique experience. So with all that being said, I'm going to rate this game a solid 8 out of 10.
So diving into my last thoughts on the game, I loved this game for the first 800 hours I played it. It was such a joy playing it single player. For my last 200 hours, maybe out of 1100 hours, my last 300 were probably spent just complaining about the meta and how they keep saying that the game will change. It's a very slow rate that the game is changing overall. It's taking a lot of time to address the issues at hand. They're stuck dealing with a lot of things that are like the cheater problem, the ammo being such a problem. They have a lot of things that they want to get done. And kind of speaking on kind of my experience with the game, the shooting is great. It really is. The looting aspect, kind of like what Chubb says, it's a great experience. I would never recommend this game if you have friends and want to play it together, because you're gonna need someone who plays it hardcore. Luckily, I had the time investment to do all of the quests, And most of the time, if you're doing it, you're gonna want to walk your friends through. You don't want them to be stuck at level 10 forever. You want them to get the better gear. You need them to get the M1 rig trade and to get the M4 trades that they want to build. Because you being the only person at a high level really sucks. And so I feel like as a solo experience, if you don't really have that many people to play with, this is the best experience for you. You're gonna get a lot of value out of this game. But the end game though, once you get past all of your quests, the game just dies. You just lose track. You can go and kill Killa 100 times. I did the Sturman one whenever it came out because I thought it was really good. I was already grinding for strength. I thought, you know, I might as well just go and kill Sturman. And that was a good experience, but after that, it just fell off. I got max strength. I got max endurance. I really wasn't carrying out too many people's loadouts. I'll tell you that much. It was a good experience. I'm glad I played it, but I will probably never play it as serious as I did this past White. It was honestly such a good experience, but that was kind of it for me. So overall, I'm going to give this game an 8.2, especially with what they have coming in the future. This game will be great, especially if they get the cheater problem under control, and especially if they get all of the other content that they have provided in the past to come. So from us here at BGN, we're going to give this game an 8.1. So from us here at BGN, it's IPVP My Kids IRL signing off.
And this is Sir Jubulus.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us if you'd like to see more, guys. What games would you like to see us review? Let us know down in the comments. And stay frosty, PMCs.